Yeah, what's up with you?
What you mean?
Do we need to talk about something? Is it beef?
What do you
Might
mean?
need to go to dinner.
You still hung up over that? I hurt your career. I ain't gonna lie. I'm gonna start looking for a new friend group.
Wait, hold on.
I don't know how to do it.
Hold on, listen. Yo.
I heard it.
So I'm sitting here sipping my coffee, listening to the latest Patreon, and I had to come in here and chat with y'all because I think we're watching something happen in real time. What starts as a conversation about Summer Walker somehow turns into another one of those Joe and Emanny friendship debates. And at first I thought it was just jokes, but the more I'm listening, the more it felt like they keep finding different ways to have the same exact conversation we may have heard before. This isn't the first time we've heard these little comments. Remember a few weeks back? And this isn't the first time that Emanny's career has been brought up. So are these two actually joking, or are they telling the truth and disguising it as jokes? So let's talk about it. All right, so the room is pretty relaxed at first. We have Joe and Emanny is next to him. Ish is on the perch. Sasha is where Ish normally sits, and Ice and Parks. Now, Joe forewarns viewers about having a hard out because I believe he said he's headed to Barclays to see Summer Walker. And Sasha asks if this is the first time he's going to see her perform. And that opens up a whole dialogue about Summer's growth as a performer, etc. But that's not what caught my attention. Because after Joe talks about heading to the concert, Emanny casually mentions that he recently went to the Blue Note to see Terrace Martin. And you hear Parks jump in and say, thanks for the invite. Now, at first listen, it's probably jokes, right? But of course, Joe Budden is always going to take it further. He asked Emanny if he's still mad about Joe hurting his career. Oh, Lord, back to this. We just went through this a couple weeks ago, listening to them. So here we go. Emanny is looking at Joe like, what are you talking about? And the funny part is that Joe seems a little upset that Emanny went to the Blue Note without inviting him, even going as far as saying the Blue Note is their thing. Joe is acting like Emanny is moving funny and doing something different, but then the entire conversation flips. Meanwhile, Ish is on the perch smirking in the back and watching it play out. Hello. Joe just finished saying he's going to see Summer Walker and didn't invite anybody either. And how many times have we heard him say that they don't ever want to hang out with him? And we've all heard him ask for years.
I know you don't want to hang out with me current day. I heard our little friendship pod that we did. I get it. Busy, then y'all busy. And cool, this is just what it is.
So now on this episode, Joe kind of seems like he's on the defense. Emanny is looking at him like, wait a minute, you're mad at me for going to a show without you while you're currently going to a show without me. Make it make sense. He's over there like, am I bugging? No, Emanny, you're not. Joe immediately starts building his case. He even asks Ice and Sasha, I guess, to be the jury, jokingly, of course. And Joe is doing what Joe seems to do best. He starts arguing the technicalities, not whether he told Emanny about the show or invited him or any of that stuff, right? He all of a sudden has tickets available for Emanny and whoever Emanny would want to bring. Meanwhile, Emanny's like, this is literally the first time I'm hearing about it, I guess, while they're recording, right? Now, it seems on this, Joe has moved the goalpost a bit, and as Ish would say, but I don't even think that this is the real issue. The issue is not about these tickets. And even though Joe Budden is so good at spinning the conversation, and for a second you almost forget what the original complaint or issue was, or question or topic, however you want to phrase it, Sasha jumps in. Now, we know Sasha is typically like facts, right? You know, you got to hustle. Like she is the one word person, right? But she calls Joe out and she's like, hey, remember that Jay-Z suite? And she asked if the same generosity applies to that. Because y'all remember, Joe was talking about the Jay-Z concert and getting a suite, I believe, and who would be able to come and who he wouldn't invite and all that stuff, right? Now, suddenly, he is explaining that, yes, of course, Emanny can come. Emanny's looking at Joe like he has two heads while he is hearing this in real time. Ice is over there quiet. Parks is not saying anything either. They're just letting them go through their emotions, which makes the whole thing even more comical because Joe keeps trying to present evidence that hasn't even happened yet with the Jay-Z tickets, with, even saying, oh, the Summer Walker tickets that he's just now presenting on camera. And again, it's just sitting over there on the perch, practically laughing through the entire thing, just watching Joe be Joe. But then the conversation gets a little deeper because Joe says something that stood out to me. He says, I love my friends more than they love me. That's a heavy line. In my opinion, underneath all the jokes, underneath the tickets and the concerts, the Blue Note, them joking about that, all that, it feels like Joe is talking about the effort in friendships. Now, I said before, and I played that clip for y'all, he has not begged them, but asked them several times on many, many episodes over the years and asked them to hang out with him. So right now, here we are in this year with the evolution of the JBP as they're all on their different journeys. Is it a matter of who's reaching out to who and who's not? We've heard Ice and Parks hang out with their partners and even say, if I remember correctly, they didn't invite Joe because they knew he wouldn't show up in an episode or two a while back. So now, like a lot of friendships over time, questions seem to start coming up and being asked. Who's always making the plans? Who's inviting who? Who are the ones that are show up? Pretty much who are the ones that maintain the friendships, and are the friendships reciprocal? Or are they just workmates and podmates at this point? And then Emanny responds with something equally interesting. He says they stopped hanging out because of Joe. It's not because of Emanny. You heard that right. Because of Joe Budden. And what does he do? He blames Emanny. According to Joe, he got in trouble with his girl because he was hanging out with Emanny and the situation looked like something that was happening that wasn't, I believe. That's how he phrased it. Hold on, let me go find that clip.
Uh-oh. About what? About what?
Clear out.
Be like, hey, look, I'm gonna shoot back. Cause remember that song, the one. We referring to times when I'm talking about that little monkey. I thought y'all was outside single.
No, we was outside single. Oh, well, see, that's not what you told me.
Oh, wow.
If Emanny's already being the blame for the things that Joe does by his girl, that is not good. You already heard Joe ask Ish, maybe you heard it, maybe you didn't, but on one of the episodes, he asked Ish, what does he need to do to clean up the house? Or I believe he said like in 4 to 6 weeks or something like that. He gave some time frame, I guess, when she's supposed to be moving here. And I know I've been waiting on Pod Wives to drop, so that's a whole nother story. Maybe that'll happen when she gets here. But Emanny's already getting the blame for that. Then they're having these talks and it seems like the truth is coming to light where he is blaming Joe partially for his career. I wouldn't say he's placing the full blame at his feet, but he is placing a good amount there. So is this going to be something that we are going to see develop over time on the JBP, and friendships are going to be affected as the landscape of Joe's life starts to change? So is he soft launching this to let the guys know that things are going to change? And yeah, I'm about to go get a new group. So suddenly this isn't about the Summer Walker concert tickets, Terrace Martin at the Blue Note. We're talking about these two friends that don't seem to hang out the way they used to. And we've even seen kind of the same thing play out with Joe and Ish. And even bigger than that is the conversation Emanny started a couple weeks ago on the Patreon. Because if y'all remember, and Joe said, you still mad about your career. What started as a joke or just an off the hip conversation turned into a more honest, deeper conversation. And this is what he said.
I would have made more if this nigga paid me earlier.
See, do it.
See, stop playing.
You gotta get shot at.
See, stop playing.
I mean, I gave you every alley-oop thinking you would blossom.
Okay.
Nigga, you're a part of why I got blackballed.
Sometimes.
But you think you helped?
Sometimes. I mean, you could try to help somebody, but if they can't fly.
You think you was more of a hindrance or help?
I don't think.
Wait, hold on. Which one you think you did more? Help or hold back?
For real or joking?
For real.
Oh, help.
Okay.
Help.
You don't see how it can
Nah.
any. Okay.
Not at all.
What do you think?
Not at all.
I'm curious.
I think Joe ignores because of his success today and because of how he's appreciated and loved today. I think he forgets that there was a point in time where a lot of people, especially mainstream, didn't appreciate, didn't accept, or did not respect some of the things he was doing in music. So when you have people that's attached to it in a certain way where people feel like you under them or you're a part of it, they kind of look at you in the same degree.
All right, so which one do you think? Even if
He is basically explaining that being attached to Joe was a double-edged sword. On one hand, Joe gave him opportunities, visibility, a platform, exposure, all that good stuff, right? But on the other hand, there were times when people looked at him through the Joe Budden lens, I guess because of the music that Joe was making at the time, instead of seeing Emanny as the R&B artist singing about love and all that stuff. I believe that's what he said on that clip. Listening to this conversation happen today on the pod, it also feels like Joe didn't completely move on from it either. And the second Emanny mentions going to Blue Note, Joe immediately circles back to the "You Still Mad I Hurt Your" career, which tells me that he probably sat with this conversation and has been simmering over it this whole time, waiting for a moment to bring this up. It felt like this was one of those conversations where everybody's like laughing and trying to play it off because they are in production mode, they are recording, but everybody is also trying to like tell the truth at the same time. And it just really stood out to me. It feels like Joe and Emanny are still trying to figure out where their friendship actually stands today, at least in this era of the JBP, as Emanny is on his journey with his podcast. And matter of fact, is the fact that Emanny is growing his podcast and being recognized for AEOE over the JPP now playing a part. Maybe it's all jokes and absolutely nothing at all, but it seems like every few months, these conversations, or at least every few weeks right now with the pod, this conversation has come back up because there's something festering that maybe they're just not ready to fully address. And maybe not until there is a blow up and Joe goes in full vein pop out, throwing his hat mode. But Emanny seems like he's the type that he's just slowly going to start coming around less and less and doing his own thing. But that's just my take on it. I just wanted to hop on while I'm, like I said, I'm over here sipping on my coffee and watching the pod and check in with y'all for a few minutes because this conversation stood out. Let me know if y'all enjoy these quicker takes and updates. The deep dives aren't going anywhere. I still love connecting all the dots and digging into the bigger stories with all my editing. But those videos take a lot more time, and I am trying to get in a rhythm here and post more comment so we can chat more. Let me know what y'all think. As far as Joe and Emanny, what do y'all think? Was this just two friends just getting some jokes off, or did some of the real feelings accidentally slip out during those jokes? Drop your thoughts below and let's talk about it in the comments. Like, share, and subscribe. Share with a friend. And you can become a supporter if you enjoy rocking with yours truly, Chatterboxx. Until next time.